So the revs will be starting to rise, the red lights will go on, and they will go out. The racing gets underway, not particularly quickly from the drivers on the front row, though. Liam, it is that burst through the two drivers on row one of the grid to get into the lead of the race. So not such a good start for Bradley Horsnell or Daniel Garrett there. And it looks like it might be Garrett that's held on to second place and Horsnell third position, but they were both quite slow away off the line. They're up towards Druids then for the first time of action. And there you can see Paul Clark in the green and yellow car, the Croft race winner number 82, he goes through. Busy field of nearly 30 cars here, but we've lost one of the front runners on the exit. We've also lost Trevor Faunch there. He has had a spin, but a bit further round on Druids, we've got one car just recovering at Graham Hill Bend. We'll try and pick up who that was in a moment, and it was in fact Liam that's been off. The leader of the race was off at the exit of Druid. So as they head around towards the end of the first lap, there's about 3 cars trying to be in the lead of the race as they're making their way through clearways. And it is, I think, as we're watching Trevor Faunch, I think it's the 19 car of Daniel Garrett that is out front as they come up towards the end of lap 1, Matt.
Yep, so what a shame for Liam. Got himself off the start like a rocket ship and then just made that slight mistake on the exit of Druids Corner. So it is Dan Garrett that goes through as the race leader. Bradley Horsnell, who sits there in second position. He's only done a handful of races so far this year, hasn't he, Bradley? I think he's done 4 in total. Best finish of 6th place. So this is a standout qualifying for Brad as he sits there in second position for the time being. And then behind that, the number 57 machine we can see of Daniel Russell is how it currently looks. So yeah, not good for Liam now after that brilliant start. He's got work to do. He came across the line at the end of that first lap down in 18th position.
Coming through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, there you go then. Trevor Faunch, you can see just going past our commentary box window. He's about half a lap down, having had that spin at Druids on the first lap. So it is the number 19 car of Daniel Garrett leading. He's got, I say, one hand on that championship trophy already. 58 in second place is Bradley Horsnell. Then Daniel Russell is in third position at the moment. But you can see how carefully they're having to tread their way through clearways and up towards Clark Curve in these very difficult conditions. Horsnell, he is 14th in the championship coming into this weekend. He's had 3 6th place finishes as his best result. I don't think he's done all of the rounds in the championship this season, and he has occasionally been on quick, troubling the sort of top 3 cars as well. And today is one such example, although at the end of the second lap, his deficit now to Daniel Garrett is nearly 1.2 seconds.
Sure is at the minute, yep. So off they go once again in towards Druids Corner. Closest competitor to Dan Garrett in the championship is Sean Brame. Sean currently is down the order in, well, he's 19th place now, so he's actually lost positions from where he qualified 12th on the grid. So that's not good news for Sean. It just kind of cements that if Dan Garrett does get this good result out of the first race, he could potentially wrap up the championship. And I know, Ian, you're very good at the maths, so you'll know exactly what he needs to do, surely.
Yeah, well, I reckon a win certainly will do it. I think 29 points over the weekend is what's required, but that's obviously depending on what other people do as well. But I think probably a victory should be enough here if he can keep it on the islands. He was dominating the first race at Cadwell Park, but found going much tougher in the second race at Cadwell, where he finished a bit further back down the order. He finished, well, down the order in third position. Did lead at times during that race, but it was a chaotic race that Sean Brame came out on top of. That was at Cadwell Park, the fantastic Lincolnshire venue. And there you can see Bradley Horsnell on that first or second flying lap of the race. He's done the fastest lap, a 1 minute 10.316. Lap in the dry is 57.47. That's a record that stood for 9 years now. Tim Neat it was that had that record. Here's a challenge for third. This is Jack Linus trying to go around the outside of number 57, Daniel Russell, for third position. You've got Jeff Peake in the number 29 car, the yellow and black car in there as well. A very good little 3-way fight here for third position, just making its way down towards Graham Hill Bend now.
Yep, so off they go once again, just keeping a very keen eye on that gap for the lead as well, because as you mentioned, down to 6/10 across the line with Bradley Horsnell doing the new quickest lap of the race. So he is now on a charge and he feels a little bit more confident as he's got the first few laps ticked out now. So off they go in towards the right-hander of Clark Curve, and we'll see this battle for third place continuing as well between Linus and also Russell, who holds it for now. But round the outside goes Jack Linus, a great turn of speed as he works his way on towards the Brabham straight. But has he got the speed to try and hold it all the way down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Yes, he has. He goes ahead of the number 57 machine. So Daniel Russell goes down into 4th position, and right there waiting to attack as well is going to be 29, which is Jeff Peake. So those 3 run 3rd, 4th and 5th at the minute as they turn back in towards Paddock Hill Bend. The gap out front is going to be up to 3/4 of a second, but Bradley Horsnell just having a brief look towards the inside.
Certainly was, but this fight for 3rd place continues as well. Jack Linus has got ahead of it, but now Daniel Russell in that number 57 car, the driver from Bedford, is going to try and have to fend off Jeff Peake, who's been a race winner in the past. The 55-year-old training consultant from Hawley, who's been racing in Locost for the last 10 years now. You can see him turning his way onto the Cooper Straight. You can see there's quite a lot of spray being kicked up by these cars as well. A bit further behind them on his own, you've got number 88 going through. That's Christopher Summers, the driver from Leighton Buzzard. But progress being made by others. And Liam, I noticed, made up 3 place on that last lap, so he's got back up to 9th now. So we need to keep an eye on him after that dramatic spin he had from the lead on the opening lap of the race up at Druids Corner, which I don't think we captured on camera. We did see that via our CCTV that we also have here in the Brands Hatch commentary box. But yeah, Liam it was that made a bit of a mistake to throw the lead away, and is now trying to limit the damage and get as far back up the field as he can in the remaining 8 3/4 minutes of the race.
Yeah, there he is on our screen as he works his way across the line. Now he's just about a second back from the 2 cars ahead, which are now squabbling here, so he's got to be careful with those 2 who might not know he's coming, but keep an eye on what Paul Clark in the 82 machine do, along with number 50 machine as well of Ian Hardy. They are the 2 just up the road from Liam, and I think by the end of this lap he will be with them, so more progress surely to be made before too much longer as the fight for 3rd place tips its way through the left-hander of Graham Hill Bend. Still Jack Linus ahead of the number 57 machine at the minute, which is Daniel Russell, and just taking a breather behind now is going to be Jeff Peake. But that yellow and black machine is once again looking threatening as they turn through Surtees and on towards McLaren, but very much equidistant now between the 3 of those as they head towards the completion of lap number 6 with pretty much half the race completed.
Yeah, absolutely, nearly at that halfway point in the 15-minute timed part of this race. It's a timed distance rather than an actual number of laps that we have in this race. And there you can see Liam, I think, has now made it ahead of both Paul Clark and Ian Hardy on this lap. So I think he's got himself up into 7th place now. So that's another 2 places he's improved. He's lapping in the 1:10, so he's lapping in the same pace as the leaders as well. So it's a case of what might have been for Liam, really. He'll probably be able to make up. But will he be able to make up some more ground? He's about 3 seconds behind Summers and then probably about 7 seconds behind Jeff Peake. So maybe top 6 is the best that he can hope for here if he can hunt down and pass Christopher Summers, number 88, before the end of the race.
Yeah, he was 2 seconds quicker than Christopher Summers on that previous lap. So that was with a move on 2 cars ahead of him as well. So this could be good for Lee to get somewhere, I reckon, inside the top 5. And of course, with his clear air, he's now surely going to be quicker than the 2 out front, who do kind of continue to battle. So Dan Garrett and Bradley Horsnell at the minute, 1st and 2nd place. There goes Jeff Peake down the inside, trying to, but he's working very hard behind the wheel to try and keep it in as much of a straight line as possible, so he doesn't quite get the job done on Daniel Russell. But Jeff Peake again looking quite threatening on the back now for this 4th place, and with these 2 starting to battle, it's just allowing Jack Linus to pull a little bit more of a gap out front. A second now to the good in that 3rd position as they tip the way back down in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Lap time for Liam on that occasion was 1:10.5, which was 1.7 seconds quicker than Christopher Summers, and he's now only 1.2 seconds back. So yeah, I think he'll get into 6th place. Then he'll have another 5-second gap to try and get onto terms with the car we're currently watching of Jeff Peake.
That's right, so 6 minutes of the race left to go. Best lap of the race has gone to Daniel Garrett. It's 1:10.150 now, way off the lap record pace, of course, in these really, really tricky conditions that we have here at Brands Hatch today. It was interesting that Jack Linus could get ahead of these 2, but he's not really made any headway from them. He's maybe got a couple of car lengths there over Daniel Russell and Jeff Peake beyond our comment, have cars going 3 wide a bit further back down the order. And look at the different lines they take as well. Jeff Peake much tighter to the inside of the circuit, but it does seem to me as if there is a bit more grip on the outside line, which Jack Linus there has exploited because he's got away a little bit from the next two. Although having said that, Jeff Peake was starting to get alongside Russell that time, and he's not been able to sort of carry that through to get through by the end of the lap. So we've got 5 minutes of the race left to go. That's going to be about 5 laps of the race, I would think, in these conditions. And you can see now Daniel Garrett starting to get some traffic between himself and Bradley Horstle in second place, so that'll be helpful for him. And they've both got more than 7 seconds over Jack Linus, who's there in third place.
Yep, so he did pull out to about second, did Jack Linus, but as you said, all of a sudden the gap has closed back into these 3 cars. So this is third, fourth and fifth, up for grabs the final step on the podium. I think Liam will get to the podium because the pace he's shown so far is pretty good. He's just gone and done actually his best lap of the race that previous time round, and he is about second quicker than these 3 cars we are currently watching. So my bet is for Lee to try and get there, but of course it's one thing to catch, another thing to pass, but he's definitely on the hunt, and last time through he did make his way up into 6th place past Christopher Summers. Good
to see Jack Linus still there in third position, though, the number 13 car for the 28-year-old from Chelmsford. He's a design engineer, only in his second season of racing. The ex-Gary Brandon car, he himself has done some British University Karting Championship karting in the past, and he's just gone across the line. And that's going to be Liam just coming across the line now, isn't it, in 6th place. So, Matt, you're still hopeful in the remaining 4 minutes he's going to close that gap. Do you reckon that's on?
So he was a second quicker. I might go back on that. He's 5 seconds back. Yes, quite a task, but it all depends, doesn't it? What happens here with Jack Linus, who again, looks like he runs wide in towards Druids, but that is the line he prefers to take. But this time it might not work because through on the inside does go Daniel Russell, so that will now see him onto the final step of the podium, and Jack Linus can't quite get his way back ahead in towards Graham Hill Bend, and this is all while they're coming up on some traffic as well, so they've got to be wary of the traffic, they've got to be careful about the people they're racing with as well, and Daniel Russell does get that green and black Locost down the inside line and up into third place. So it'll be interesting now to see if Daniel Russell can do what Jack Linus didn't do and try and pull away. Well,
both of these two are heading for their best results of the season. Before today, Daniel Russell's best result was a 5th, and Jack Linus has had a couple of 5th place finishes, so either of them would be pleased to get onto the podium. 3rd or 4th would be an improvement on their best results so far. Meanwhile, Daniel Garrett continuing to lead the race here. As I say, this I think is probably pretty much enough for him to wrap up the championship, because Sean Brame is well down the order today. He's down in 19th position, having been a winner at Castle Combe last time out, so I just think he perhaps doesn't enjoy these conditions quite as much. And you can see there's also been a lap now put on the number 66 car, so he must be quite close to lapping Sean Brame actually, because the 66 car was in 20th position. That's Luke Stokes, the driver from Pontypool. And yeah, there is Sean Brame. He's in that sort of red and green car. He's in a battle with, I think that's Mark Rue in number 27, and the Daniel Garrett car is going to come up and lap these two in a moment. So the winner of this race is going to lap the winner of the previous race here at some point in the next lap or so.
Yeah, so Sean Brame might finish second to Daniel Russell, but to Daniel Garrett, but it will be on the road, won't it? A lap down. So yeah, not good news for Sean Brame, and it could be, as we said, the championship at this early stage of the season, in terms of with still this race later on to come and 2 at Mallory Park to look forward to. It could be the job done for Dan Garrett, but he still needs to make his way through to the end of this one with just under 2 minutes to go as they work their way towards the line once again. We're still keeping an eye on this battle for 3rd place, because Daniel Russell has not managed to pull away from Jack Linus, so those two are still tied together on the run down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Jeff Peake is about 2nd adrift now, and Liam has closed the gap, but it's still 4 seconds back from where he needs to be to try and make some moves.
Yeah, indeed he is. So we're coming up towards the closing stage of this race. There'll be one more lap to go at the end of this. Russell hasn't got away from Jack Linus, just coming here to lap the number 41 car, which is Keith Malpas, the driver from Thornton Cleveland, and yeah, they're squeezing around. Quite a bit of traffic in this race, probably more traffic than they'd normally get during a low-cost race because of the conditions. I think it can differentiate the drivers a little bit more than we see in the dry. I'll have to check the maths afterwards to see whether this actually is enough for Daniel Garrett to wrap up the championship in this race. I don't want to call it too early, but he's certainly not doing himself any harm if he gets this result, by the way. Meanwhile, Jack Linus is trying to get a place back away from 57 Daniel Russell there, as Garrett goes on to his last lap with 44 seconds left to go. 3rd place is still yet to be sorted out here, though, Matt.
Indeed, yep. So they're going to come up to receive the last lap board as well. And Jack Linus gets half in the slipstream across the line. He tries to go then for his preferred outside line in towards Paddock Hill Bend, but there's a big old chunk of traffic on this last lap to deal with as well. So Jack Linus tries to flick back to the inside as they work their way down through Paddock Hill Bend. And can Daniel Russell hold that place as they work their way in towards the braking zone? Yes, he can. So Daniel Russell holds on for now. Jeff Peake is going to try and go around the outside of the number 13 machine. We've got 27 of Mark Rue off the road as well, just briefly in towards Druids. And all of these quicker cars just trying to find their way as best as they can through the traffic. And Liam is still 3 seconds back, but if he'd have had probably one more lap, he might have got there.
Yep, so into the final half a lap of the race then for Daniel Garrett. He's up through Clearways. Now there's Bradley Horsnell, who's in second place, about 3 seconds adrift. There is Daniel Garrett, more back marker Lapri to possibly complete before the end of the race, but he comes through Clark Curve now onto the Brabham Straight up towards the line where the checkered flag is ready, and it goes out now, and Daniel Garrett wins again in the Yokohama Locost Championship. It's a 6th victory of the season. There's a spinner further back in the middle of the pack. I think that's the number 38 car, which is Freddie Morris, that's had a moment, but I think everyone managed to go either side of him. It was Horsnell that took second, Russell third, Linus fourth, Jeff Peake in fifth position. Liam, well, he didn't make it onto the podium, Matt. Sixth place it was for him in the end. But a good comeback nevertheless from towards the back of the field. Seventh, number 88, Christopher Summers. Eighth is going to be number 31, Glyn Griffiths. He just pips Ian Hardy to the line, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Paul Clark. But, I mean, again, very difficult conditions for the drivers, Matt, but it's produced another entertaining race.
Certainly has, yeah. And again, there was no big dramas, were there? There was a few off the road, but they've all kind of dealt well with what are, as we said, continuing to be very wet conditions here at Brands Hatch today. So, yeah, cracking race between Daniel Garrett and Brad Horsnell, who kept him honest in the early stages. Bradley now gets his best result of the season, only after doing 4 races this year, now 5, gets himself for the first time onto that podium. So, again, we look forward to what's to come a little bit later on, and we'll see if the likes of Daniel Russell, Jack Linus and Jeff Peake can be up there in those kind of top 5 places later on this afternoon.
Indeed, thank you very much, Matt. We've got the cars heading around on their slowing down lap. They'll shortly be heading into Park Fairby. We'll hopefully hear from them with Josh. But first, let's have a look at the result. Daniel Garrett, confirmation that he completed 13 laps in the 15 minutes within that race in car number 19 to beat number 58, Bradley Horsnell, by 2.28 seconds. Third was number 57, Daniel Russell. Fourth was number 13, Jack Linus. Fifth was number 29, Jeff Peake. Then it was number 5, Lee M. 88, Christopher Summers. 31, Glyn Griffiths. 50, Ian Hardy, and 82, Paul Clark, that rounded out the top 10. They had Barry Stewart, Dave Berry, Alan Harmon and Alexander Artis. On to the rest of the field, Tony Mulder, 15th, Glenn Boyer in 16th position, but he was the first of the drivers a lap down, so only 15 drivers finishing the race on the lead lap. Sean Brame, the Cadwell Park winner, he finished 17th, had Bill Ward, Mark Rue and Luke Stokes completing the top 20. We lost a couple of drivers on the way, Stephen Wright and Rob Apsey departed the fray, but hopefully they'll be back out for the second race at around about 4 o'clock this afternoon here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. We've got one more race to come before the lunch break. That's going to be the Finish Line UK Classic Stock Hatch Championship. Matt's going to have a break for this one. And Paul Thorpe will step into the commentary box alongside me and for that one. So we will hear from Paul in a minute, but first we're going to hear from Josh Barrett down in the pit lane.
So we're down here with at least the second place drivers come to see me. Well done, Brad. A really good drive to second place. Kept up with Dan all the way. So you happy with that one?
Yeah, we were thereabouts. Dan just got away at the end, just in traffic. But yeah, we kept it clean. We got to go again from pole later. Yeah. So yeah.
You've not done too many races this season, so it's good to have a result like this.
Exactly. Yeah, we've only done 2 meetings up to now. So fitting it in around work commitments and whatnot. So yeah, to get a result is nice, yeah.
What were the conditions like? We saw some people come in slides, a few people had offs.
Yeah, obviously very, very tricky. A bit slower than qualifying, but it was just about, there's grip there, you've just got to find it. So.
Do you prefer the wet to the dry, or do you not mind?
I'd say this is the best wet setup we've found with this car so far. It's sort of, I'd say, the best we've done in this condition so far with this car. But yeah, it seems to be going right. So.
Well done, good luck later on. So that's Bradley Horsnell, who was in second place. Dan, come in the dry. Well done. A race victory, and we think that's the championship as well. You even lapped Sean, which was quite unexpected, I guess.
I weren't expecting to see that. Poor Brad, honestly. He was right there the whole time, and it was until we caught traffic. I think it was going to be a proper within a couple of attempts over the finish line. And get that on. And it's really good. Bloody cold though.
A really good season for you. It's been lots of race victories, almost always on the podium. So a really good year.
Oh, outstanding. What can I say? I mean, yeah, it's been positive the whole way through. Every single meeting's gone to plan, kind of. Yeah. And loads of fun, and yeah, definitely back next year. And
saw you through 30s, the fast left-hander corner here. You pretty much every lap had quite a big slide out of there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not fortunate enough to have enough set of tyres with me this weekend, so it's a little bit slippery. Yeah, it's a bit more. It's more like driving hovercraft out there than a car.
You hope for a dry race later, but I'm not sure how likely that is.
No, I mean anything but this would be great. But yeah, I think it's going to be this all day.
Well done. So, well done to our top two from the low-cost races. We've got one more race coming up before lunch, and that will be for the Classic Stock Catch.